Hey, welcome to Calgary Basement Sessions. I'm Ben Price.
And I'm Ben Montgomery.
And today we're talking to Joseph Tennant. Joseph Tennant is a songwriter and musician based in Calgary, Alberta. His music covers a wide variety of emotional landscapes, from deep melancholy to tongue-in-cheek humor. A defining feature of Joseph's music is his ability to take the listener on a journey with lyrics that are quirky yet full of meaning. He invites the listener into each tale. Joseph's music is intimate, with stripped-back instrumentation and out-of-the-box arrangement choices. Even at the young age of 22, Joseph is already proving he has a thorough understanding of his craft. Having begun songwriting and producing as a child, he has been honing his skills for over a decade, which is quite apparent to anyone who hears his music. Although creating for almost a decade, Joseph has been studying the intricacies of songwriting and musical performance under Brian Dorkson for the past 3 years. It is quite apparent that he has a solid grasp of the craft. Joseph is an accomplished guitarist, banjo player, and producer, as well, who is continually seeking opportunities to grow and learn. The journey of music making is one that never stops. Joseph is constantly writing new material for future pieces of artwork.
Excellent. I got a tune here for you called Athabasca Falls. It's about backseat drivers. Thin mist graced the banks of Athabasca. They swirl and skirt between the driving snowfall. Ice sheets skirt between the coursing river. Our ways beneath boulders grating pressure. Agitated by the snow. The cold is gnawing on my bones. Mom prays earnestly to travel safely, while Dad fights the winter with the coffee. Asphalt hidden by a glassy glacier. Our car shudders like a nervous dancer, captivated by the falls. Watch the road, you'll kill us all. Trees dance beside the freezing water, ghastly beneath the blanket of macabre. It's strange to be so tense amid creation, eyes wide in wonder and intrepidation, trembling grip upon the wheel. 4,000 pounds of screeching steel. Panic, I react. At least our limbs are still intact. Merci.
Awesome. Fantastic, Joseph. That sounded great.
Thanks, yeah.
That sounded fantastic. So that song was called Athabasca Falls.
Yes, that's the song there. Yeah.
Fantastic. Tell us about the process of writing that song.
Yeah, so that song came about on a road trip past Athabasca Falls, coincidentally. It was about, yeah, bizarre. It was about like 2-3 years ago. I was driving up for kind of like Christmas break. That was around, like, I was in school at the time. I was driving up with my parents and my brother. We were going up to Edmonton from Calgary to visit my grandparents for Christmas. And I was the one that was driving. And my mother, being in the back seat, was incredibly nervous the entire time.
Yep.
I'm certain you folks have experienced something similar. You know,
Definitely.
your mom is always a very controlling. Love you, mom, but you're is always very controlling. Like, you know, oh my gosh, you're gonna like slip, and like there was definitely like a couple inches of ice on the road in a number of different places. So
Yeah.
driving past, I'm getting a little distracted by the falls, and so I you know, just kind of start to drift off, and then you know, nothing happened. Obviously, I've kind of hit a little bit of a hyperbole with the song itself, but eventually got to a hotel in Jasper, and I had this old classical guitar, and so I'm just kind of like messing around on the guitar, and I kind of pull something along these lines. And I'm like, oh man, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of it's a simplistic riff, but it's a riff to like a song perhaps.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And then I just started like kind of chipping away at the song. I think it took me about 4 months to really like kind of let everything. Like I typically try to get my music peer reviewed, so I wrote like a draft 0, a draft 1, and then I sent it off to some friends, and they were like, "Oh, you know, you need to change this, and you need to change this," and then
That's interesting.
yeah. So I think like after about 5 drafts, I was like good to go with the song, and then recorded it, and that I'm like, yeah.
That's interesting. You send you send your song away to friends. To sort of review it and stuff like that. I don't think we've actually interviewed artists that actually do that. It's quite an interesting process you have.
Yeah, well, like typically, I mean, I'm a bit like some of my friends are a little bit more. And it might just be the camp that I'm in and the school that I went to, because I went to a school for songwriting, and that was one of like the big takeaways that I had was like, you need to be writing drafts, you know. Like if you're writing one song, and it's just like a draft 1, sure, it's good. But if you don't talk to people about like what connects with you in this song, what rubs you the wrong way, like is there like a lexical prosody issue where like you're saying like you're putting your emphasis on the wrong syllables, you know, and it's like, you know, it just like takes the creative energy from the song. And it's not like a high and dry, like, oh, you know, we're like making this into a list of like the perfect song kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just about like I mean, if my song was just had a whole bunch of wrenched accents and stuff, I'm sure that the reaction would be like, oh, I mean, cool riff, man, you know. Yeah. But like, you know, it just changes the way that you're able to communicate, right? Because that's what songwriting is about. It's about sending an emotion over to someone.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So tell us about your schooling. Where did you go to school?
Yeah, so it was a small little Bible college. It's called Prairie College. So in Three Hills, Alberta. So like an hour and a half up north.
Nice.
And yeah, I studied there for 3 years. And so just over the time, like obviously we took like some Bible classes and stuff. But over the time, like we learned the craft of songwriting. I've got a bunch, like this whole section here is dedicated to like a few songwriting books. I'm also a music teacher, so I have like some, you know, like Al Leonard, whatever. But like, but really just ultimately I'm straying away from the question there, sorry. But like, over the 3 years, I got to really invest in some like really deep friendships. I got to like learn kind of the craft of songwriting, which is a thing that you really only learn by doing. I mean, as much as I went to school for 3 years, I just picked up some like vocabulary and understanding of like why I like a song, and you know, but like if I never wrote a song and just understood why I liked songs, I wouldn't, you know, I'd be nowhere, you know.
Yeah, I completely understand. So you, in your bio you mentioned Brian Dorskin. Was he a lecturer at that college, or is he just like
Yeah, so he was a lecturer. Unfortunately, he's left from the college now. He was working. He was involved in some like kind of church groups and stuff. And so he was like kind of a worship kind of songwriter guy. But yeah, just a really, really good mentor there. Very, very wise fellow in terms of the craft of songwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how long have you been out of college for now?
So it's been about one year. I guess I drove home. I don't know if you guys remember the blizzard last April, like on the 27th or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I stupidly drove home in my rusty old Mazda Protege during that blizzard. So it took me about like 2.5 hours to run what was normally like an hour and a half trip. But
really,
yeah.
Oh God. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I remember it was back in Scotland, and I was taking my friend to the airport in Edinburgh Airport, and from my grandma's house to Edinburgh Airport is usually about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes if the traffic's bad.
Yeah.
It took us 3 hours to get there because the traffic, for one, was horrendous, and it was raining so much that there was a flood, and all the drainage and stuff like that was just overflowing. Cars were stuck. Oh God, it was awful.
Oh, that's horrible.
It was terrible.
Oh.
It was terrible, and I also, because I've only been in Calgary for 8 months, and people are telling me stories of when like the banks burst in Calgary, you know, and there was a massive flood.
Or flood, yeah.
Oh, dang.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
2016.
It's crazy. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
You have a lot of music out and available. Was that prior to going to school, or would you attribute your, large library of music to having that dedicated time in school to be able to create and, publish all this material?
Yeah, so that's a good, I don't know how much of my music you guys have found, but I had, like, in my high school years, I was, like, trying to pull out a record every, like, 2 months or something like that. And I've since tried to remove them because after having a bit of an education in, like, what's good and what's bad, like, I'm sure there's nuggets of decentness in there, but, like, I've tried to, like, slowly remove them from the internet. I know some folks have really enjoyed them, so I don't want to, like, just rob people of that, but, like, but during my schooling, I released a like kind of a self-produced thing on just really cheap equipment. And then I released another one. So I think, so that one would have been called, oh man, I'm getting my names mixed up, but, the second one that's out is called Fill Your Room, that I did. And so that one was just like a hand painted, like, album art. Yeah. And I did that over the summer of 2016, I believe, in my parents' basement, and then that one was lots of fun to do.
I had to listen to that one actually. It's very, very electronic, for sure.
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah. And so.
So what was your influences for that record?
So for that one, I would probably say like a lot of like bedroom kind of pop type stuff. So I at that point I was listening to a lot of like Sandy, Alex G.
Right. Yeah.
And some. Oh man, I'm just trying to remember back then. Like the car seat headrest. Like that's more like rock type stuff. But I like to kind of like bring some of that influence in.
For sure. Yeah.
I think like, again, some of the peers that I was surrounded with, a lot of them are more electronic focused. And so like I have a friend named Zach Parkinson who basically released a very like electronic EP at the end of his schooling time.
Yeah.
And another friend named Steven who was producing like electronic music the whole time. And so I think that inspired me a little bit. A lot as well.
Would you ever think about doing another sort of electronic EP album type thing?
I definitely, and so I'm kind of like right now I'm in a mindset of simplicity. I'm trying to, like, I don't know if you guys listened to my latest release, but I'm trying, like, I think that was only 6 different tracks on that one there.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to like keep it simple because I don't want to overstep my bounds, Yeah. However, I love electronic music. I'm not like well, specific genres of electronic music, I guess. But I'm not like 100% sold that like everything needs to be acoustic guitar and acoustic kit and banjo or whatever.
Is it like heavy dubstep that you're into these days? Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. Sorry, yeah. So when I said I love electronic music, I didn't. But like, nothing against dubstep. It's just for whatever reason never been like on the forefront of my, stuff that I listen to.
I get you.
I would have to agree with you there.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Yeah.
I'm really like when I was at university, I was in the sort of same boat as you with electronic music. Like I just sort of like I got inspiration from Deadmau5. You know. Deadmau5, and he was a massive influence on me because I just felt his music was obviously like it's dance music, but it was clever, like the chord progressions and stuff like that. You know, it was very, very clever and very thought out melodically. You know.
You know why?
Why?
Canadian.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Big brain.
Oh, biased.
That's good stuff, man. I didn't even know that. What the heck?
Yeah. Did you not know he was Canadian?
No.
Aye. It was Toronto.
Yeah, he lives in Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh, but then he doesn't count as a Canadian. Oh, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Toronto.
So tell us about your latest release, Stories from the Landscape. You released that in, was it April 25th, 2019?
Yes, yeah. So that was my latest like full length thing, and then I impromptu released something else earlier, but that one was like the penultimate, the end of the school, like the 3 years of schooling, and so I released that, and I worked with a fellow named Mark Troyer here in Calgary.
Right. Okay.
And so he's one of the main producers here, I think, for like kind of folk and country type stuff. And so just kind of sat around and I ended up playing most of the instruments, which is kind of what I like to do.
Nice.
He did a lot of the drum programming and stuff, as well as like some of the organ type stuff. But yeah, that one was a good journey. It took me a long time. It took me like the whole 3 years. It was like a collection of songs from the 3 years of my time there.
Yeah.
And
you also mentioned that you play banjo as well.
Yeah. I try to like not tell people I'm like an incredible banjo player, but like I do play banjo a little bit. The first take on the first track on the record there is a banjo tune. And that one's.
So what got you into banjo? What got you into learning banjo? Because I've seen some banjo players and they're super fast. Like they're incredible. Like so, do banjo players start off with banjo, or do they start with guitar and then move to banjo?
Oh man, I've always been a guitar player. So I picked up the guitar as a little tyke. Well, I guess maybe not as an 8-year-old. So that's not really a little tyke, but a young child for sure. But then I was listening to Sufjan Stevens quite a bit. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with his music, but some of his earlier stuff is just like loaded with banjo. And for him or for me, he was like a huge influence on like a lot of my music for a lot of like even up until this day.
Wow.
And so, like I ended up just going to Axe Music on Highway 1.
Which is now closed down now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's now, I don't know what it is. It's something. It still says guitar on the side.
Yeah,
but
I think they're working on it for sure. I don't know what they're going to open, but I've seen a few workies like doing some stuff in that place.
It still says Axe Music, or it did at least for a little while, not too long ago. So I don't know if they're opening it up again as the same thing or something different.
I don't know, but it's one of the great tragedies of because that was the shop that I would go to, like to go play a guitar. But anyways, I bought my banjo there, and I bought a banjo case there as well, and just kind of fell in love with it for quite a while. I love the tone. It's very like spanky, if I'm allowed to, describe a banjo that way. But like, it's very bright, and it's not a lot of people play it, and so it's just for me. I like to think of music as like texture, or like instruments as adding texture. And so for me, having a banjo in my like toolkit was kind of, especially coming from guitar, was kind of like a necessity.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So is the banjo, is it tuned the same way as a guitar, or like how
it's open tuned. So if I were to like, I mean, I could go grab it. It's in the other room there. But if I were to like open strum it, it would be like a G chord, G major.
Okay.
And so it's a little strange because it's got like 4 lower strings and then 1 higher string up here. That's like, so I'll just use a ukulele for an example. But if this is like, like you've got your 4 like main strings here, and then you've got like a higher string here and a tuning peg right here, and so it's kind of like more of a drone string.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily good enough to really use that super effectively, but
yeah. So I noticed when you were playing guitar there, like you had like a thumb pick.
Yeah, I go between those, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll use a thumb pick, and sometimes I grow my thumbnails out. But I had been getting into like gypsy jazz kind of music and been trying to explore that style on the guitar lately, and I wanted to like be able to switch to kind of like picking with while I'm like between finger picking, and so just doing like more melodic lines and stuff. So
Yeah.
I've been trying to like work my way back into a thumb pick, and I was watching a video with Tommy Emmanuel who was like, "You got to use a thumb pick, man." And I was like, "Okay, I'll take your advice, man. I'm Mr. Gullible." No, I'm just kidding.
Gypsy Jazz. That sounds like a good band name.
Yeah,
Gypsy
yeah,
Jazz.
that'd be. Or you might have to like change it up because you'll be compared to Django Reinhardt and then be, thrown to the muck. But
There's a band called the Gypsy Kings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really good.
yeah,
I like
my
their stuff.
father used to listen to them like all the time. And I'm
It's
gonna
good
have
stuff.
to.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna have to like go back and listen to that because, man, like, yeah,
Yeah.
There's no banjo, but
no banjo.
They're good.
But, yeah.
back to the banjo. If you are ever in Floyd, West Virginia, or maybe you've heard of the Floyd Country Store, they have every week a jam with banjos.
Really?
And it's pretty famous place for a pilgrimage for banjo players. Yeah.
Wow.
Huh. I'll have to check that out. I feel like I'll be outclassed immediately, but
They don't care. They don't care about the
man,
quality.
that's good stuff.
Join in, have a good time. It's good. Yeah.
Floyd, West Virginia, you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
West Virginia.
Yeah, and to any listeners that play banjo, check it out
Check
too,
it out.
man.
Check out
Yeah.
Send me an
Floyd
email
Country
and I'll
Store.
go with you. Well,
Definitely. Google it for sure. That's awesome. So before we go, do you want to tell people where they can find you on social media?
yeah, so I was trying to like rebrand a couple years ago, and so now I'm Joseph Tennant XO. The XO is like, I don't know, sort of ironic or quirky or whatever, whatever you want to say, but
Kiss hug. Just
yeah,
kiss
kiss hug,
Which
exactly.
one's the kiss? Which one's the hug? X or kisses?
I think the O is the hug.
Oh,
'cause
it's
it's like
it's
like
round.
a
That's
Yeah.
a
And
best
I should-
explanation I've ever had for that.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, my grandmother used to send emails with XOXO all the time, but you had to like figure out what it meant before you replied. So, yeah. You can on social media on pretty much all of them. It's Joseph Tennant XO. You can also like look up Joseph Tennant music, and typically you'll find my stuff. Sometimes Google is a plays tricks on you, but then also my website is just josephtennant.com. And I guess I should clarify, Tennant is spelled Tennant, instead of like your renter tenant.
Which
Which is spelled differently.
a Scottish name.
Oh.
Tennant.
Yeah, I think I might be like my father was doing some stuff, some like research, and I think I might be Scottish.
Welcome to the clan.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, I love it. I'd give you a hug if we were in the same room and allowed to be close by.
XO.
Yeah, oh, that'll work. That'll work. Joseph
Oh.
Tennant, XO.
Awesome. And you're on Bandcamp as well.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm on Bandcamp. And I've got my latest release, which I mean, I didn't really do too much like promotion on because I just recorded it like during the quarantine. But my latest release is free on Bandcamp, so if you guys want to just check it out and have a free tune to listen to, it's up there.
It's there.
Perfect.
Have a listen. And you're going to finish us off with a song, yes?
Yes, and I'm going to
Another
finish you off with
treat.
the song that I released there because I figured it'd be fitting. So this one's just it's called "How Good and Pleasant," and it's just a song about like living in unity, and yeah, here we are. And behold, how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell in unity. And behold, how good and pleasant it is when sisters dwell in unity. Teach us to live in love with one another, in peace with one another. For you ordained such life. Behold, how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell in unity. And behold, how good and pleasant it is when sisters dwell in unity. Teach us to live in love one another, in peace with one another. For you ordained such life. And behold,
Thank you for tuning in to Calgary Basement Sessions.
If you like the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps us out.
And please follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at YYC Basement Sessions.